What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and by now, I'm sure all of you already know that a suspect has been arrested in the Idaho 4 case. Bryan Kohberger, here's his mugshot right here. He was arrested late last night, or should I say early this morning, and authorities have tied him to the murders of the Idaho 4. How they were able to do that? Those details are still unclear, but one thing that I see a lot of people questioning is if Bryan acted alone. Now, I haven't been covering this case, but I've been following this case much like all of you all. I've seen the theories, I've seen the speculation, I've seen accusations thrown this way and that way. One popular theory during this case was that it may have been more than one person who committed this crime. And at one point, people thought that maybe it was a fraternity, or just that it could have been more than one person that did this. Now, usually I write off a lot of these theories and I dismiss them because a lot of the theories you see online are crazy. But in this situation, I understand why people would feel that way. Because if you take a step back and you look at what happened here, it almost seems like it would be impossible for one person to pull off, let alone even a group of people. Because 4 young people were murdered inside that house. 2 other people are still alive who were inside that house while these crimes were being committed. Yet no one heard or saw a thing. They didn't know that this happened until the next day. And then you look at Bryan, and he doesn't seem like a super strong guy. How was he able to do this by himself? How was he able to overpower these 4 victims? How was he able to do this without anyone hearing a thing? You have to understand that 2 of the victims were found on one floor and 2 of the victims found on the other floor. So he would have to walk up steps, murder 2 people. It just seemed like a lot for one person to be able to pull off. So I understand why people are questioning, is there someone else involved in this? And then the news broke earlier this morning, of course, that Bryan was arrested. And then it has recently come to my attention that Bryan said this. Once he was apprehended, these were Bryan's words. He asked if anyone else was arrested, and he gave a cold, blank stare. Now, of course, that's going to send the internet going crazy because a lot of people on the internet are upset right now that a suspect has even been found because Bryan is not the suspect that they thought he would be. These people have been accusing random teachers, students. They even accused one of the kids' dads of doing this. So a lot of people aren't happy that their theories have been proven wrong today. So a lot of people are going to jump on board this, someone else may be involved. But I understand that it looks like there could have been someone else involved. But personally, I do not think that's the case. I think Bryan did this himself. Now, why would Bryan ask if anyone else has been arrested? I personally think, I have no facts to back this up. This is speculation on my behalf. I personally think that Bryan asked that question to go ahead and plant seeds of doubt within maybe investigators, law enforcement, but definitely plant seeds of doubt within the community that is keeping up with this case. The reason I say that is because Bryan, as we went over in my last video, Bryan was on Reddit, Facebook, multiple social media platforms, conducting surveys, trying to find out how criminals think when they commit a crime. And in reality, I think he was just conducting those surveys so he himself would be better or more likely to get away with what he did. So I don't think this is a situation where Bryan just happened to see this house and decided to go in and kill 4 people. I'm not saying that Bryan knew the victims, but I think Bryan knew that he was going to do this. I don't know if Bryan knew who the victims would be, but I think he knew that he was going to commit some type of crime. And I honestly believe that Bryan was most likely keeping up with this case on social media, just like a lot of you all. Considering the fact that we were able to dig up Reddit posts, and he's been interested in trying to figure out what goes through people's minds after they commit crimes. What do they do? What steps do they take? I'm not sure what Bryan's motive is, but what if Bryan's motive was simply just trying to see if he could get away with this? He studied criminology. He went to college to learn more about the criminal mind and more about cases like the one he involved himself in when he allegedly did what he did to these four young innocent souls. So in my opinion, Bryan's entire education led to this moment. I think Bryan was interested in figuring out how he could get away with something like this. And I find this very interesting. I think it's very interesting that Bryan went to school for what he went to school for. I think it's very interesting that we were able to find these posts where Bryan was asking these weird questions, trying to figure out how these people's minds work. So in my honest opinion, and this is just an opinion, I don't have facts to back this up, I think Bryan is very much interwoven and intertwined in a lot of the stuff that's been going on online with this case since this case broke. I can guarantee you all he's been following up with it. And I think this talk of, was anyone else arrested? I think he did that on purpose because he knows how the true crime community is. And he knows that people are going to run wild with that. That's just my opinion. There could be someone else involved. I was hoping in the press conference they would ask, if they think there may be someone else out there that could be connected to this, but I didn't hear any of those questions. So I don't know if we will ever have law enforcement clear that up for us. And like I said, I'm no expert. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not here to tell you that there isn't someone else involved, but I really think that what Bryan is doing is he's playing the game. Bryan knows, in my opinion, Bryan knows how social media is and how people are who follow these cases because Bryan was going to school to learn about stuff like this. I think Bryan is really interested in stuff like this. And I don't know if in Bryan's mind, he just views this as another, I don't know what to call it, like a test or something, to see if he could have got away with this because of his knowledge, and everything that he learned in school. It's a really weird situation. I always say it's a weird situation, but man, oh man, there are so many weirdos in this world, and we talk about so many weird situations on this channel, and it always seems like every story, it just gets weirder, and weirder. So that's my opinion. Do with it what you will, believe what you want, but I do think that this guy is the sole suspect. I don't know how he did this though. How he pulled this off, I would like to know how he pulled this one off. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.